Så har vi hul. Hello everybody and welcome to the Outwell Websibition. We are broadcasting live from our showroom here in Denmark and we are super excited to show you our 2021 collection of Outwell tents. Due to Corona, we have not been able to show you our tents on fairs and tent shows as we normally do, so we've been working hard to find another solution on how to present our tents to you, and this live broadcast on YouTube has been the solution for us, and we are super excited to do this for you. It's a totally new way for us to present to you, so we hope that you will bear with us if we have a few hiccups during the show. But I would really like to show you or present for you today's program. In a few minutes we will start with our compact tents, which means our 3 and 4 berth tents. And my colleagues Anne and Jacob will present these tents for you. After this I will be having a short talk with our quality manager Mike, where we discuss a bit about our quality control and how we ensure the high quality of Outwell products. Directly after this interview we will go to our wind and rain test center just outside here and make a live test on a Montana 6 PE. At approximately 11 o'clock we will look at our 5 berth tents and shortly after that our 6 berth tents. At 12 o'clock we will present our large family tents, which means our 7 and 8 person tents. Somewhere in between I will reveal a small competition, so stay tuned if you want to participate in this. At approximately 12:35 we will do another wind test, so if you didn't see the first one then you got another possibility to see it, and I can reveal that I will be standing in front of the tent at the second time, so that will be fun to watch. Finally, Anne and Jacob will present a selection of our driveway awnings, so awnings for a bus or SUVs and things like that. During the show, if you have any questions, please type into the chat function right next to the screen here. Don't forget to log into YouTube in order to be able to communicate that way. And we will try to answer as many questions as we can during the show. Also through the show you'll be able to see down here some of our dealers, both from the UK but also from other parts of Europe. So if you during the show will be interested in buying an Outwell tent or other Outwell products, we can refer to these dealers. But we are very happy, super excited to do this show for you, so please lean back, have a cup of tea and enjoy the show. Before we go to Anne and Jacob that will be presenting our compact tents, we'll just see a short film to get in the camping mode.
Hello and welcome to Outwell showroom in Give. Today we will show you, as Sina just mentioned, a lot of things and also a lot of features and tips and tricks. To begin with, we will start in the 3 to 4 person tents, also known as the compact tents. Jakob and I will show you just a few designs and show you some of the features, and then we will head into some of the new tents and also some of the tents from previous years. To begin with, I'll just tell you something about the 3 different types of fronts you'll see on Outwell tents. To begin with, the sloping front. So the sloping front, you actually notice it has really sloping front. It allows you to have extra footwear just inside the tent when it's closed. And also the aerodynamic style of the tent allows it really to be a stable tent out on the camping site. So moving on to the next one is the straight front. And the straight front is actually, as it says, straight in the front. But just to show you one of the tent that we have pitched here is the Rosewheel 4. Yep. And looking into the front of the tent, and it is quite a way into the tent in this case, due to obvious reasons, but the front of the tent is actually right here. So when we see the open panorama front here, it actually has a front that can be rolled completely to the side, and hence you actually see this, it actually has a front that goes straight down to the ground. So this is the straight front to this type of tent. In this case, the Rosewheel 4SA also has what we will later show, a movable front. But we will show this on a later occasion in the 6-person tent where we go on to the Rosewheel 6SA. The next one is the canopy front to a family tent, and just going out of all the guidelines here, showing you that we also have a little tent here with a canopy style. Canopy style, yeah, again, it actually gives the full overview here. Canopy style, where you have a little canopy actually in front of the tent. Canopy actually allows you to sit inside, have a shade, or also actually sit out with a slight drizzle of rain. The sides on the canopy can in various be as here, very narrow in the side, but you will also see some with a longer and wider sloping sides on the canopy. So it actually gives you some, for wind, so you actually sit outside in the canopy, still being outside even on a windy or rainy day. So just for some very few, just the 3 types of fronts that we use on Outwell tents. Jakob, you will now tell us a bit about the different types of frames and air tubes and all those things that are actually for many people the question, what to choose. Yeah. So can you give us a quick walk through on those 3 different types?
No problem. I will start telling you all about the different types of poles we're using on our tents at Outwell. The first one we are using is our Duotex glass fiber pole. If we can get the camera a little bit closer, we can see the special about this kind of a pole is that we have some sort of net all around the pole, which will strengthen up the tent. So if you are that unfortunately that it will snap or break, the damage will not be as big as it could be with a classic type of glass fiber. Another benefit of this kind of pole is that it is extremely light, which means that when you have a compact tent like this one, it will bring down the weight of the tent and will still keep the strength at the same time. So we use this one on our compact tent like the Cloud, the Encounter series, and also on some of the bigger family tents with another light fabric like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Do you also have, or do we also have other types of poles in the Outwell tents?
We does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another type of frame is our steel pole. The steel pole is built in three what can say dimensions. We have the bottom, the middle, and the boat top, which will go through the whole tent. The strength about this one is that when it is extremely windy or just a bigger family tent, it will be more stable on the campsite, and it will also give you a lot more comfort in the tent. We use this type of pole to our bigger tents, and also to an extension on this Roseville, like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know few ask what would be the benefit of poled versus air tubes, and just we will actually show it later on, because we will also go into the larger family tents. But we do use color-coded poles, so when you actually are going to pitch a pole tent, it will be color-coded, but we will show you later on when we actually go down into the larger family tents. So we will get back to that later on. Jakob, that was the two poled ways of poling tents, but we do have something which is not new. It's actually something which we've had for many years.
Exactly.
And which is really innovated and strengthening from Outwell.
Yeah.
And that is the air tubes.
The air tubes.
Yes.
Exactly. And we're very proud of our air tubes.
Yeah.
Our air tubes, we have two kind of models. We have the rigid air system, and then we have the power air frame. This model, just to show you, you just open the valve down here, and then you fit it with the pump that comes with the tent when you are buying into an air tent. And then you just put it on and turn it a little bit so it is firm, and then it just to pump up, and then it doesn't take that long time to get each power frame standing. If we can go inside the tent, I will show you some more features about this one.
Yeah. And yeah, so Jakob,
Yeah.
being inside the tent,
Yeah.
with the air tubes, yeah.
Yeah.
What is the advantage of the air tubes when you? Is there any differences if you are inside the tent, whether it's the pole tent or an air tube tent?
I will say for the first, it is easier to pitch an air tent. It's just to put on the valve and then fill it with the follow of the pump to the tent. It's also very stable in the air tubes, and it's also lighter when you're gonna compact your tent down.
Okay,
Yeah.
so actually, speaking about pitching the tents, it would to some extent actually be easy if you're only one person. You can manage to pitch an air tube tent quite easily
no problem.
in one person.
Yeah.
And with pole tents, I would recommend at least being two, but if you are very skilled, you can manage being only one. But it actually it makes it far more easy if you have four hands to pitch a pole tent. So quite good to have those interesting points into the differences. We will later on go into more details between pole tents and air tents, and we will also see different types of sizes, whether it's a pole tent or an air tent, because there is some differences also in the packing way of those products.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So shall we move on to the first tent?
Yeah, let's do that.
And it's actually the new one of the new ones for season 2021.
It is.
A really little neat compact tent. And Jakob, the Oakwood 3,
Yeah.
if you could start just introducing that.
Yeah. The Oakwood 3 is one of our new models for the 2021 season. As it says, it is a 3-person tent. It is a tent with the Outtex 3000 and with the bigger tinted windows and with the mesh panel, so we can provide a good comfort.
Yeah.
If we take a look on the top of the design of the tent, then we can see here that it is lightened in the top and also in the front to give some more light into the tent. So also in the daytime you have some beautiful atmosphere inside the tent. At the back of the tent it is darkened, which will give what can you say, a darker bedroom in the sleeping time, so you're not going to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning just because the sun is going up, if you can say so. And then on the back of the tent, we take it on another tent just to tell you all that it has a big mesh panel to provide a nice airflow inside the tent.
Yes. And just to highlight on the poles, Jakob, could you just tell us something about the small
wind stabilizer,
yeah, which is added onto the poles?
Yeah. On this, on our Outwell tents, we have this wind stabilizer, which will provide the tent to stand firm in heavy weather. And this is actually just like an Velcro. You fit around the pole and then you just turn it around here and whoops.
And attach it firmly.
Yeah.
Really nice.
And then always to the left.
Yeah. So I think we will also look at downstairs. We have a really large steel pole tent, and we can also show it really nice and easy down there. But it is really some of the things that we put on special features to all the type of tents that we have, the family tents. We do make sure that it is stable in all kinds of weather when it's actually pitched on the campsite. Yeah. So whether it's on a really beautiful seaside, it will get windy sometimes. So we do make sure that we have guy lines and wind stabilizers and those kind of things to make sure that the tent is pitched really firm and safe.
Yeah.
Going a bit inside the tent, just to highlight a few things in this compact 3-person tent.
Yeah.
As Jakob mentioned, the fabric, 4,000 millimeters heterostatic head, Duratex, so it is really a nice and just tiny, compact 3-person tent. And as you mentioned, Jakob, in the living area with the grey fabric on top, it actually makes it really light inside. So even though we are inside and having roof over the head, so to speak, it is actually quite light inside still, and giving you really a nice atmosphere inside. Also then in the evening, and to have the privacy, you still have curtains on the sides for the windows. And the tinted windows also gives you that privacy, so it doesn't really, it's not that easy actually to look from the outside, but you can still look very easily to the outside of the tent.
Exactly.
So with the toggle up curtains in this little new Oakwood 3, very easy actually to have that privacy guarded. Yeah. Sleeping area, Jakob, is a bit special in the Oakwood 3.
In a standard tent, you're lying on a different.
Yeah, here you actually lie on the vertical.
Vertical, that was what I was looking for. The vertical way, which is a little bit special in our tents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this way here, because it's wider than it's actually long, you are actually faced with your head to one side, where normally you would lie with your head out towards
the window of ventilation.
Area.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and as you notice, we have also here the curtains to the new system with the ventilation system. Here you do have a curtain so that you can actually close the window or the curtains here, so it will give you really dark feeling inside the sleeping cabin here. So a really nice little compact tent with a lot of features. So with mosquito net in the front, with a panoramic front. So if you are out in the morning with a bit of fog and you will sit and watch over a really nice pitch, you still have availability actually to be inside, however though still being outside on the pitch.
But also to mention, we have actually also a good standing height inside our tents.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
And you are, in Danish, in European terms, 190 centimeters, so it's actually quite high.
And I have plenty of room.
You have plenty of room.
Yeah.
So shall we move on to one of the next tents?
Yeah.
And this is actually a very small tent that we're looking at now. This is a typical sort of beginner tent, but it's also for the teenager or for those who wants to engage into camping for the first time.
Yeah.
So the Cloud, which we have pitched here, is a tiny little tent, Cloud 4. And Jakob, perhaps you can just show that this tent is a part of the Encounter range.
Yep.
And the Encounter range has the Cloud tents, also the Earth tents
and the
Dash. And this is a type of tent that actually has the Duratex poles. It's a dome tent, so it's very easy actually to pitch. It has a little room in front so that you have the availability to put some boots, a bag. If you are hiking, you can place a few things out in the front of the tent. And then you have a nice roomy feeling inside your sleeping area. And in this way, you also actually have a see-through area, because the Cloud is a really handy little tent with the availability to have a rear opening. And the rear opening allows you actually to go really fast in and out the tent if you are the person sleeping on the back side of the tent. Yeah. But also it allows you, if you are really perfectly pitched, being able to look outside the rear of the tent and watching a really nice sunset. That is really superb.
It's perfect, yeah.
Also, this is a tent which has really good height. So, Jakob, even you will be able to sit inside.
I can perhaps go inside. It is easy to go through.
Yeah.
And now I am actually sitting inside the tent, and as you can see, I have plenty of room. There's space for 4 people easily, with mesh panels in the side, and also this beautiful panorama window and access door in the back side.
And of course you do still have the availability to close the rear door.
Yeah, no problem.
And also you have a door to the sleeping compartment and again the door to the front area. Yeah. So you do have the possibility to close the tent fully and being safe for any type of wind and rainy conditions. Just to mention that the flooring on an Outwell tent is actually a sewn-in ground sheet. Yeah. And the sewn-in ground sheet we will show later on, where it's even more easy for the camera also to go into the tent. But just to mention that, especially here on the front of the Cloud, you do have a detachable ground sheet in the front. So the ground sheet here is actually possible to remove, and in that case also to take out and just rinse underwater and make it clean before you actually pack your tent back on the campsite. So a really nice little tips and tricks is to, of course, pack your tent neat and tight together when it's dry, and of course also clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jakob, we do have some more tents in this collection, but just before we actually head into some of the compact tents, we have this special feature with the extension that we actually that we've pitched for just this occasion.
Yeah, exactly.
And the extension which we have here is actually quite easy to pitch.
Yeah.
I know we actually did it yesterday after we had a few other shows, and it took us just 5 minutes, 10 minutes with all the packings, but it's quite easy actually to widen your canopy or extra area in front of your tent.
Yeah.
So just to give you some idea of the extra living space you have inside this extension, which is a universal extension. So if you do have another type of tent in that the Rosewood 4, you will actually be able on our website to see what type of extension, universal extension, your tent would actually be needing. Yeah. But just to give you that sort of roomy feeling, that it actually gives you extra room and living space. Also, just to mention that the front two side panels of the extension can actually be zipped up. So in this case, you can just zip it up, remove the packing in the front and roll up so that you have a roomy feeling, but still with the roof over your head for some shade in the sunny holiday.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'll just show you how it's actually attached onto the side of the tent, because the tent needs to have this type of buckles so that it will actually fit onto an Outwell tent. So the first thing you actually do when toggling in an extension to your tent is this little flap that is actually sewn onto an Outwell tent. So that is actually attached, and you will with this buckle just slide it in here, tension the strap when actually it's pitched out in the front. So that will actually go in first. You then slide in the steel poles, and they are exactly the same, which is why they're not color coded. So you slide that in, and just with a normal tent, you actually have the packing tools. So it's fairly easy actually to put up the tent. Using the wind stabilizers and tensioning in all sides, using the guy lines, it's actually a way to extend the living area in your tent. And Jakob, I know that we've had already by now some questions about both the Rosedale and some technical features on fabrics. And the next two tents we have here, that's two types of compact family tents.
It is. And
I know the first question we already had on the Rosedale 4 is how fast it's actually
is to pitch.
It's to pitch, and also to fold back and pack into a pack sack.
Yeah.
Since this is an air tent, so the 4PA air tent, and as Jakob said previously, the air tent is quite easy.
It's easy.
So what you actually do is you have the air tubes. You mount the pump that actually follows the tent. You mount that to the valve, and you pump, I would say, 10 to 15 pump strokes to the tent, and it will take roughly 30 to 45 seconds on each tube, depending on, I would say, conditions. If it's really warm, you might use a bit longer, because otherwise you will sweat like I don't know what in the end. But roughly, a tent in this size, if you are skilled, you can do this easily within less than 10 minutes. So do practice at home if you have the possibility first, and pitch a tent before you go on the campsite, because it will make you look even more skilled when you go on the campsite, and for sure the neighbours won't look and have that laugh about you, but it also will make you really sure that you know what to use and where to put it. So roughly 10 minutes if you are skilled, but if you the first time go out and allow yourself 30 minutes, you'll be way long, both with the air tubes, with the pitching, and because rolling the door to the sides, it's actually what I would say takes the longest time sometimes. So allow yourself 30 minutes the first time you actually pitch a type of tent like this one here, and packing it down. This is where tips and tricks again. When we will later show you how easy and how easy it is actually to deflate a tent, and how fast it also goes. But deflating and packing together is really something that is really fast, and you will see later on. But and we will give you some tips and tricks on that as well. Yeah. Then we're being asked the weathers or the fabric between 4,000 millimeters and 6,000 millimeters in a windy and weathery conditions. Of course, it all depends on the type of weather you are camping in. But with a 4,000 millimeters hydrostatic height, as this one here, I would say this actually can endure a lot of rain. Because considering that 4,000 millimeters, the way that it's actually being measured allows 4 meters of water actually to be on top of a fabric like this one here before water will actually pour through the material. So it does depend on the weather conditions, but also just to give you a little information about what's actually inside a tent. So if we can have the camera inside here, and just show the tape seams that we have on. Perhaps you can show that.
Yeah, no problem. We have the seams in the top, as you can see here on the tinted window, all the way through, which will provide water to get inside the tent. And that is a classic Outwell detail on our models.
Yeah. So that is also to make sure that even though that we have some stitching holes when the tent is being made, those small holes will actually be plastered with this taped seams on the back side of a tent. So the inner cabin will always be dry.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It is.
Dark inners is also a question, and perhaps we can have this.
I think perhaps it is easier to show on the bigger tents downstairs.
But just to give you an idea, that because this tent I just noticed is not open on the rear side, and also the curtains have been rolled up. So if I just go in the corner, and it can be difficult to show on the camera, but I'm not saying that I disappear, but it actually perhaps shows you the roomy feeling of a small compact tent like this one here, but also that it is quite dark going from the inner cabin and outside to the living area.
Yeah.
So I do think that the dark inners, even though it's something we name it, but it also is an effective little feature.
Yeah.
If we can just quickly go over to the Parkdale. Just to mention that the Rosedale, of course, is a 2-zone tent. Going into the Parkdale, this is a 3-zone tent.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. So you have the wet area in the front of the tent, the quick and quiet inner doors like this. It is a magnet door where you have the living area inside. And then we have the sleeping area also with the quick and quiet in this model. And this is fitted with the air tubes. Yeah.
Yeah. And still, Jakob, when you go in and out that quick and quiet inner door, it still gives you a possibility to actually have that roomy feeling over your head. And just to mention that the partition door here on a 3-zone tent, of course it can be rolled to the side.
No problem.
So you are not actually fixed and firm with a type of tent with a partition door as this one here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just a few things on the 3 to 4 person tents and giving you some glimpse of the showroom. We will head on later on to the larger tents and show you even more of the roomy feeling you can have on a campsite. So giving it on to Sina again and see you later.
Thank you, Anna and Jakob. Outwell is known as the brand who focuses on innovation, but we also strive to have a very strict quality control on our products. And now I'd like to say welcome to you, Mike. You are our quality manager and responsible for the quality here at Outwell. Can you tell us a bit about how we ensure high quality and how we work with quality control?
Of course I can. Well, we have many years of experience when it comes to manufacturing tents. We have over 20 years of experience here. We only work with highly selected factories, and when we do work with these factories, we both visit them before the production, during the production, and after the production. The reason why we only work with these factories is because we have the way to ensure that the quality is correct, the material that are used are correct, and so on. One of the things, because we work with the same factories, is also that we have the time to go visit them, as I said, during the production and so on. So if we find any problems or anything like that, we can change it directly in the factory and we can proceed to make sure that the product is as intended. Yeah, well, a bigger process of this, of producing tents and manufacturing tents, is also doing quality control. So when our R&D department, they normally work 1 year in advance with our tents, so we try to thoroughly test these before they get in the field. One of the things where we test the tents is on our rain simulator and our wind machines. So we try to make the same effects as it was on the outside, like we do on the camping site and so on. So we try to see how the tents adjust and how the tents behave in this type of weather. Another thing we do is also try to do trial pitches. So we try to pitch our tents for 2 to 3 months, simply just to see how they behave and see how the quality is. Another big thing as well is trying to get the feedback from our users. So if a customer has used our tents in the field and say, this is what's good with the tent, this is what's not so good, we try to implement this on the next year. So we try to focus on the users on the tents, so they know what they want, they know what we need to do with our tents and so on. So every time we get some feedback, we try to implement this for the next season. One of the tasks I have as a manager with the quality is to test the product themselves. So what I do is, when we do this trial test outside, is every week we do reports and so on. So we check the material, how it's doing, how is the quality of it, so on, how the air tubes or poles, if it's a pole tent. So we really try to do our very best to make sure that the products are tested before they get in field.
Yeah. All right. We often get questions about well, what do I do if a pole breaks, or if the air tubes leak, and I'm on a holiday? Is the holiday over then, or do you have some tips and tricks on how to prepare?
Well, first off, we always say do a trial pitch at home. Do a pitch in your garden or anywhere you can do it, just to make sure that everything is as intended. This is even if it's a new tent or if it's a tent you've used before, just to make sure that everything is correct. If by any chance there's something wrong, you can always contact your local Outwell retailer and they can make a case for you, and we can send out spare parts. If you are in the field and something goes wrong, we recommend, if you purchase an air tent, that you buy a universal air tube. So these universal air tubes can be used in case of emergency on campsites, so you can fix a leaking tube yourself, and you don't have to contact a retailer. You can contact a retailer when you get home. We have the same option, so to speak, when it comes to glass fiber tents. You can buy a do-it-yourself segment kit, and you can change the segments yourself. If you are in the case and a heavy wind come and it breaks a pole or something like that, you can change the segment yourself. To be honest, we don't really have any problems with our air tubes, and if you do have a challenge with a new tent with an air tube, it's often just a matter of tightening the valve. So we have a small valve key in the pack bag, which you can tighten the valve with as well. otherwise, you can go to our do-it-yourself videos online at Outwell or at YouTube, and you can see how to repair things on site. You can see general tips on how to pitch your tents, especially specifically if you're new. If you haven't pitched your tent before, it's a good idea to go and watch our pitching videos. When a tent performs the best is if it's pitched well. So you need to make sure it's tightened correct and everything. Especially also if you pitch a tent, you have to make sure that you use the pecking points correctly and so on. But we have many videos showing you how to do this exactly. Yeah. So we recommend really going to Outwell or to YouTube and watching these videos before you go ahead and do a trial pitch at home.
Yeah. Sounds smart. Are there other things that you can do to extend the lifespan on your products?
Yeah, there are some general things we recommend when you go pitch your tent. Is the first thing, don't pitch it in direct sunlight if you can avoid this. One of the biggest threats to your tents is the UV. It destroys the coating on the tent. Yeah. And you can recoat your tent if you want. We recommend recoating your tent every year, every second year, preferably after each camping season. Of course, it depends on how much you go camping. If you only go away 1 week, it's not necessary. But if you go 3 weeks in Italy or something like that, it's a very good idea to recoat your tent. Another good thing is to use a footprint. The footprint makes sure that the bottom doesn't get damaged or anything like that. Some of the humidity that comes from the ground doesn't get inside the tent. It's easy to see where your tent get pitched and so on. Another thing you can use is also a tarp. You can put a tarp over your tent just to make sure that the UV damage doesn't affect your tent in the same way. This extends the lifetime quite a bit. Also, when you pack your tent away, it's very, very important that it's dry. There's no humid inside or anything like that. If you are unlucky and it rains on the day you get home, pitch your tent in the garden when you get home. Let it dry out. Don't pack it away before it's dry, and make sure to also store it in a dry area. Humidity is not good for a tent in any way. No, and generally just clean your tent after use and just make sure to maintain it properly. You can use Outwell Seam Sealer and Outwell Water Guard to extend the lifespan as well.
Yeah, because that's what you might see if you have an older tent, that the seams will start to leak and things like that.
After prolonged use, you will see some seam tears and so on if you use your tent for 4 or 5 years. But it's easy fix, and we have the do-it-yourself videos where you can go online and see how you can fix these seams yourself. Areas, hanging points and so on, specific areas where there's a lot of pull and a lot of strain. So after you've used your tent for many camping seasons, these are areas you have to look after. So put a bit of seam seal on areas that starts to leak and you're fine again. And you can extend the use. Use a lot of coating if necessary. If your tent gets to the point it starts to feel like paper, then it's too late. So rather use a bit preemptive, so to speak, rather than waiting until it's too late. So after each camping use, if you just use 1 or 2 bottles of Outwell Water Guard, you can easily extend the lifespan. Okay,
good. I see that we have a question here. Recoat polycotton tents.
First off, that should not be necessary, not before after 5, 6, 7 years, depending on the amount of usage. If you are going to recoat a polycotton tent, what we recommend is you use Nikwac cotton reproofer. You can use our own water guard, but it doesn't make the same effect on polycotton as it does on polyester. The water guard you can use to do a mild recoating of the polycotton if necessary. But if the polycotton starts to leak heavily, what you do is you mix it with soap water, this Nikwac, and you recoat the whole tent. But again, it shouldn't be necessary before after many, many years. Polycotton and polyester are very different material that acts very differently.
And one thing also that we hear is that people wake up in the morning and they think that, has it been raining? The tent is wet inside. What's wrong?
Yeah, we do tend to get a lot of claims that aren't really claims though. So when we test them, our rain simulator, we don't get any water inside the tent, and it's called humidity. And the challenge with polyester tents is that the material cannot breathe. So every time we breathe as a human inside, the humidity can't escape the tent. So one of the things we've done at Outwell is we made sure that there are many ventilations. So there are fully ventilations at the door. We have the new ventilation system at the back. We have ventilation underneath each window. So good idea, just generally during the day, just let a lot of air inside the tent. If you can't during the night as well, open some ventilations. But the main thing is during the day, get a lot of air inside the tent. Make sure it's a nice climate inside, and it shouldn't be a problem with any humidification.
Right. Thank you very much, Mike. And now I have been dying to say, gentlemen, start your engines.
Okay.
Wow, there was a lot of wind power there and heavy rain. So in a few minutes we will take a look at our 5 burst tents. So we'll be back shortly.
At Oase, we make sure that all the fabric that we use for all the family tents are really made sure for having a really comfortable family camping holiday. You have just heard the differences between how to actually maintain the products, both the polyester tents and also the polycotton material. Just to give you a glimpse on the polyester fabric, you will notice that it actually has really durable fabric, and in this case this tent is 6,000 millimeters hydrostatic head. Also, it also has some Outwell logos in the fabric, so you can just see the small tones of that type of logo in it. Polyester fabric is made 100% of polyester, and in this case actually a really strong and durable material. Used for the lightweight camping and for the well-known camping tents, you know, for years from Outwell. Also, a product that we use is a polycotton material. Polycotton material, as it says, is a mixture of both polycotton or both polyester and cotton material. And this is a very breathable material. So the cotton actually makes this a breathable material, and also at the same time a waterproof material, because the cotton actually does make as if it's a popcorn. So if you see poly or cotton fibre, when it actually is hit by moisture, it actually blows up. So it's not something you can actually see with your eye. You need to have a magnifier to see that, but not on the tent. But what it actually does is it opens the fibre so that it will close all small holes in a tent. So even on a rainy day, you will have water repelling from a fabric like the polycotton material. And just to show you, I'll just pour some water on it so that you can actually see the repelling feature on the polycotton material. And camera's ready. And this is the heavy rain in Scandinavia. And it just repels straight from the material. And going further down on the side on the tent, you will notice we have some really nice water, small fragments of water on the material. And of course, sun will actually go through the cloud and it will dry the tent, the fabric very easily on this tent. So polycotton, yes, it has a breathable surface and the water still repels from that type of fabric. So why not actually use polycotton to all tents instead of a polyester, where the polyester is a very closed material and will not have the same effect of actually breathing in between in the fabric. And as just mentioned previously, if you wake up in the morning in a polyester tent, perhaps you have tried out that you will feel as if it's very damp inside your tent. And this is condensation. So this is actually when you breathe, you actually respire water from out your respiration. So this is why we have a lot of ventilation openings to make sure that you have that airflow in the tent, and which is also why we do encourage you to open all types of ventilations using an Outwell tent. Going on to the polycotton material being breathable, yes, it is really a nice and it's a soft, really smooth fabric. But having those two products compared to each other, it is actually the double of the weight in square meters compared to a really nice and huge density with the 6,000 millimeters hydrostatic head as this fabric here. So actually the weight is something which is a difference to those two type of products. We will come in on this later on, especially on the larger family tents, where we'll give you some details on sizes and weight on different types of products. Now we will actually move on to the 5-person tent and show you two tents that are actually quite similar. However, though, one is made with polyester and another one made with the polycotton material. Still, both of them are actually made with the air tubes. So in that case, somehow similar but still different. So Jakob, perhaps you can tell us something about the Oakdale 5PA, which is one of the new tents for the 2021 season. And I also know that this tent has a tiny award. Yeah. So perhaps that is worth mentioning.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you, Anna, for your fine descriptions of the fabrics. Now, of course, our tent is an award-winning tent with this lovely wing lounge attached, sewed into the tent, just like on the mountain lake that I will show you later on. The tent we are looking at here is the tent with the tinted big beautiful windows with the low vent air system, so we can provide fresh lovely air inside the tent all day through. Then we have the tinted window also all the way around on the wing lounge. On the back side of the tent here we are looking at one beautiful big lovely mesh panel going through the whole back side of the tent, providing nice airflow inside the tent from the low vent and up through to the back of the tent. If you're looking down here, we have the guy line attached at one, but is pulling two ways, so we always will have a beautiful standing tent and easy also to pitch. Yeah. Let's go inside to the tent. Also, just a nice thing to mention, as we talked about early on the smaller compact tents, we have here the lightened living area to provide this lovely, beautiful summer sun we all are looking for to our holidays. Hopefully soon is coming. And on the back side, over the bedroom, we have the dark net inners. Yep. Now going into the tent on the Oakdale, we have here the wet zone you can use for storage, or as we have pictured here with a couch on the table. You can also put up a kitchen if you would like that. We have the curtains all the way through from the bottom and up. You can just regulate as it suits you. Going inside to this lovely spacey living area, we have the carpets just fitted for the Oakdale. We have the hook track system for the lighting or personality as you would like. We have here shown with a little flower, if you can say so, and then we can put out the table in the front of the wing lounge. If you're looking into this dark inners, we had a question early on. This model has a double way of. Now I can just show you. If you just opened it up, you can have one big spacey sleeping area, or you can have it in a two-bedroom tent, and of course with mesh panels in the side. Now let's go out to Anne.
Yeah, and actually I just found the couch.
Yeah, isn't it lovely?
It's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Inflatable couch, and it's just that feeling of being on a campsite, being out, enjoying what we're all longing for. Having that beautiful tent, the beautiful view, the panoramic front on the tent.
Yeah.
And in this case, a very easy pitch tent, because air tubes, the 4,000 millimeters hydrostatic head, so it's a very nice and easy weighing tent. But still with a lot of features, so I do think that this really is a perfect tent. And as you said, well, this is a 3-zone tent, and yeah, the 3-zone tents, it would normally be something where you would say, okay, this is the wet area, but it doesn't need to be the wet area, because sometimes you do have beautiful weather on your summer holiday. So this is where you can actually have the couch, being in the shade, making sure you don't get a sunburn, and actually still be able to enjoy the campsite, watching the children play, having a drink in your hand or not. It's actually something which is really beautiful on the campsite. So yeah, I do think that camping is just, it's not for fun, it's for real.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do know that we have a tent really similar to this one here.
Yeah.
So here we do have the 5-berth tent with the wing lounge, and as you mentioned, the wing lounge is a side pot which is firmly attached to the tent, but actually enhances that roomy feeling in the living area. The family tent next to that is also a very good product, and I know this is the battle we had. Which of these two tents do we actually fancy? Yeah. And I do know that you are really longing to go and have a look inside that tent. And there's some features we will actually show you also, which we have inside the tent.
Exactly.
So let's hit it.
Thank you. As Anne mentioned, this is one of my favorite tents at Outwell. It is a technical cotton, also known as a TC in our terms. Also commended 5% tent.
Yeah, just to shortly say something about not the names, because the names would be from mountains, lakes or whatever, but 5ATC, what is that actually the surname, so to speak, to that tent? Well, 5 because of obviously it's a 5 berth, ATC, A because it's an air tent, and TC because of the technical cotton or the polycotton, a few names to that surname of the tent. So you'll see that later on also when we have different types of sort of surnames to a tent. Yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, as mentioned, we have the wing lounge on this tent, and this is really nicely decorated inside this tent.
Let's go inside then.
Yeah.
Now, just to make a stop in the front of the tent, we have here the possibility to remove the front, so you can just walk on the grass. If it is a lovely summer day, or you can attach your ground sheet into this easy fixed.
Yeah, so we do have this two general terms with the sewn-in ground sheet on the family tents, which because the ground sheet is sewn in. However, though, on the front here on the 3 sewn tents, the ground sheet is what we call a detachable ground sheet.
Yeah.
So it's something which you can actually take out or mount onto some packing points and points inside the ground sheet on the side, so that you have this really high sides on the ground sheet and still being able to have a wet zone where you make sure that water is outside. And this is really handy if you especially have a really wet time of the year where you perhaps start out camping in early season, or you actually go on in the later season.
Yeah.
And also you can remove it if in the summertime you are on a pitch where it's really nice and green with the grass, and you want to go outside with your bare feet on the grass outside.
Exactly.
Yeah, and a good standing height inside the front area, I think.
It is.
So even though that you have the air tubes,
Plenty of room.
you still have plenty of room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's more in the tent?
Another detail, if we just stay in this first area, the wet area, the curtains, I've also just point out the details of those. It's easy to adjust, so you can personalize the curtains all day long. So if you're sitting in the morning with your coffee and still want some sunny feeling and just don't want to be shown too much, then you can just pull up the curtains with this zippers. A nice little touch, I think. If we're going into the tent, I will just sit here on the couch and enjoying the fireplace.
Wow, a fireplace.
Yeah.
So does it have a chimney as well?
Unfortunately not.
Okay,
Yeah.
or thank God it hasn't, because that would perhaps be some
then we
rain
have some
spot as
fire
well.
problems,
Yeah.
I think.
But yes, a fireplace. So a fireplace in a tent.
Yeah.
That is a bit unusual, isn't it?
It is.
And why is that?
It is because it is an attachable TV screen, if you can say so.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I noticed the way it's actually attached to the front air tube.
Yeah.
And it's actually attached to
the
these hook track system that we have in a various well, more or less all the tents from Outwell, all the family tents, the larger family tents.
Yeah.
So the screen is actually attached to the hook tracks in the hook track system. And the screen is a piece of fabric.
Yeah.
and you have the protector, so that you can actually just roll this up. The screen is something you can actually buy as additional by Outwell. And just to make sure and show you that this is actually just not a really live fireplace, showing you how it can actually just be rolled it up. So nice and easy to actually take with you onto the campsite. And Jakob, one of the reasons for this screen, so even though it's really nice for the kids to watch SpongeBob or whatever they watch today, is quite handy. But something else, because it's a special year, isn't it?
It is indeed. We have the sports event this summer. We have the football event.
Being also played in Denmark.
Exactly.
Not to forget. Yes.
Not forget that one. And also OL.
The Olympics.
Olympics in
Tokyo.
In Tokyo.
Yeah.
And
so not to miss out on any sports
occasions
in this season. And I do know that well, you would love to see some good cyclings on the Tour de France.
Exactly.
And both of us would really love to see some really good sports on the Olympics.
Yeah, I think
any in particular?
Yeah, I think the swimming part is a passion of ours.
Yeah.
I hope really we can get some records and the medals.
Yeah.
So
we do cheer for the Danish athletes. We must
exactly.
admit,
Yeah.
but we do cheer for really good events, so that we can have good events in good family tents and enjoy the camping, being home from home with the TV screen also.
Yeah.
Some ideas or some words to the sleeping area, because we were asked about the dark inners.
Yeah.
And it's a bit more easy actually to show the dark inners in this type of tent, because it really shows that this is really, really dark.
Yeah.
And now you can also fetch onto the curtain on the
Exactly.
on the sleep inner. And even though the ventilation on the rear isn't opened here, you will still actually see that this is something really dark.
Yeah. I think you can get an idea how dark it actually is.
Yeah.
With the black mesh, and also with the airflow going through the back of the tent. And not to forget how deep the tent actually is in our bedrooms, with plenty of room and also standing heights. And you can, as I showed early on, you can make this to one big, large, roomy sleeping area, or make this extra wall and then provide with two lovely rooms for a good night's sleep.
Yeah. And Jakob, this is a really nice tent. Even though it's actually the polycotton material, it also has mosquito nets on the side panel, and this actually allows really nice atmosphere. Also, the mosquito net on the partition wall, so you could actually really keep out any bugs or anything in this type of tent.
No problem there.
Yeah. So we do have a lot of more tents in this category.
We does.
So now we've just shown you basically some of our favourites in this category. However, though, there are also, this is of course one of the heavy and the larger of the five berth, but we do have one or two which are more compact into this category. And perhaps you can lead us the way through. This is through the studio. So perhaps you can take us over to sort of the other side.
Yeah, thanks. Let's go over to our Greenwood 5. It's a new model for the 2021 season. And as we have shown here, it is the actual pack size of this model. So you can see it is actually a compact pack tent, easily to fit in back of the trunk of your car, and then you will get this roomy feeling, if you can say, in the tent. You have this lightened area, living area. You have the wet zone and the shades when the sun is high. The tinted windows, and also a beautiful airflow going through the bottom and outside by the end of the backside of the tent. We have the quick and quiet, of course, into the bedroom. And as you can see, it is a little bit lighter darknet than the Oakdale or Mountain Lake we just saw for a few minutes ago. The quick and quiet is a magnet door, but also with a zipper, so you can close it.
I think perhaps we should have the camera really close to those magnet doors, so that we can
also
easily hear, or as I would say, not hear, how you would go out in the late evening.
How beautiful is that?
Or early morning.
Yeah.
However, though, we do have some questions.
Yeah.
What if I have a toddler or a tiny dog, or somebody I want to make sure actually stays inside the sleeping area?
Then you can just use the zipper you had inside, and then close it fully. So
even though you do have the quick and quiet inner door with the magnets, you still have a zipper. So the zipper will actually allow you to close the door fully, as you know from previous models of family tents. So the zipper is still attached to the partition wall. However, though, the quick and quiet door allows you to not be wakened
early morning
by the zipper. So a neat and handy little feature, which is actually something which we were first movers on.
Exactly.
And this is something we will show later on.
It is.
Some of all the features where Outwell were first movers on a lot of things. So a lot of things you might even know today, but things that actually was invented by Outwell and the brilliant people in the developing department. Yeah?
Yep.
So moving on to another tent in this category, which is again a bit tinier than the Greenwood here. So the Greenwood here was a new feature or new tent, family tent, for the 2021 season.
Yeah.
And which tent are you actually in now?
I am in a Lindale 5PA. This is a 5-person tent, just as the Greenwood was. Here we just have a smaller living area. It is a little bit more compact, if you can say so. We still have the quick and quiet exit with the bigger sleeping area. Still with the tinted window and a lovely shade in the front of the tent.
Yeah. And just to mention, I mentioned the canopies earlier on.
Yeah.
So you have the canopy with a narrow side panel, whereas the Greenwood we just went into before has really a long sleeve onto the side of the canopy. So this Lindale, being one of the smallest compact 5-person tent, is really a nice and easy product in the selection.
Select range. Yeah.
And questions that we are actually being asked frequently on exhibitions and also online is that what can I actually myself try out or see before I actually want to go to a retailer and perhaps see or order a tent, is that we do have a really beautiful website, and I would recommend you actually looking into that website, because on that website you will actually find a lot of photos, both with doors shut, doors open, mosquito nets, some of the bigger tents also with videos, a lot of them also with videos on how to pitch a tent, You'll also find the videos how to actually take a tent down. But you will also find each individual family tent in each of the collections and all the ranges that we have. And find some little technical details. So you will notice that around on the our campsite here, we have a lot of signs hanging on the tents, and these are actually signs informing us of this type of tent, whether it's a 5-berth or 6-berth, the height and the length and the width of the tent, and also a lot of icons. And especially those icons are something we keep actually adding extra onto every year. And the icons, of course, they do resemble a feature. So, for instance, one of the things I want to also tell you about is the different types of features and icons, and hopefully it's shown on the camera. And of course, it does tell you whether, in this case, the Lindale 5PA is an inflatable tent, so the A for the air tent, and for each air tent, of course, a pump is included. Jakob, next to the tent, we also have a sort of a little banner showing here the select range, because even though that we have a lot of tents pitched on the campsite here at Outwell, we have some more tents in each category. And now we've actually pitched them so that you can see 3 to 4, 5, 6 and 7 to 8 berth in categories. And we actually show different types of collections. So in this case with the select range, it actually shows you that the select range, having all this green fabric, 4,000 millimeters heterostatic head, and features to those tents, and different sizes of all these various types of tents. So having said a lot about the 5-berth tent, I think we will just go into to the 6-berth tent and show these onwards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jakob, one of the things Outwell is known for is the innovation. And last year, in 2020, we actually celebrated 25 years of innovating family camping. And unfortunately, we were all more or less at home or infected by this pandemic, which we are all facing at the moment. So the big party we didn't have, we're still longing for a really nice big party. We do hope you had the party outside on the campsite, however. So we did have a lot of news, innovation features throughout the years.
Yeah.
And perhaps you can tell us just a few of these features. There are some really special ones that everybody would actually think is something had just rolled on, but where Outwell was a first mover.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We at Outwell are extremely proud to be an innovative firm. And the last 25 years has just been on the highway, pushing the competition and innovation. The first thing I would like to show you all is in 1998 we introduced the iconic Lumnions guideline, also to make it easier to pitch the tent, but also to show how easy it can be. Each, what can I say?
All the pegs?
All the pegs, yeah.
Are luminous.
Are luminous, so it
yeah.
will light up. So easy. In 205, we have the zone-in ground system in our tents, which will provide animals or dirt or water or anything to get inside to our cabins to give a nice cozy feeling inside the tent. As Paul and Simon all told us in the previous podcast, in 2007 we had the carpets as a move on to our tents, and today it's a part of each tent we sell, and give that cozy feeling of holiday and a nice touch to your feet through the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is really something is really nice, and each carpet is made to fit the living area in your tent. So make sure to actually, when you buy into a new Outwell tent, also to consider buying into both the underlayer, but also and especially the carpets, because it is a really nice feature to any Outwell tent, however.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really beautiful, those carpets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to point out some few more before we are going on to the next 6-person tents.
Yeah.
2011 we have the wind stabilizer. We have shown you all on our tents,
Yeah.
which will provide stable tents in heavy weather, as there's more and more of these days on our campsites.
Yeah.
We also introduced it in 2012, the windows, the tinted windows, as we can see here, which will provide the sun, but also the neighbor to look too much into your living space.
Yeah. Adding that privacy to a tent.
And that's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Just the last one I will tell you all about is the back of the tents. We have put in big mesh panels to provide a nice feeling of airflow inside the tent, so we're not are getting this heated heavy air inside.
Yeah. So even though we introduced something in 2017, we actually improved it to 2021.
Yeah.
So we do not actually always stay firm on what we have actually improved previously, but we continue to actually drive that innovation in Outwell.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the key features to Outwell, is that we are very innovative. And sometimes on an exhibition we often get the question, can I get something to my XX tent which is 10 years old? And actually honestly to say that we have moved further on to a tent and giving that type of tent even more innovation. So you might be able to actually see some names which are really famous and well known to Outwell, but we have perhaps added extra things to that, and perhaps made some extra spacey things on those type of family tents. So even though you have a tent called Nevada or Montana or Vermont, it might look even different to the things we have in collection today.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the new tent we actually have right here next to this innovation sign is the new Colorado 6PE.
Yeah.
And previously mentioning these names to the products. The Colorado 6, yes, it's a 6-person tent. P for the panorama view. So you have doors which are actually rolled to the side, and the E for the extra extension onto the front of the of this tent. And Jakob, if you can just tell us through this tent alongside, because this is another type of tent, so being a 6-person, but it's also a bit different to the air tents we saw previously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is. This tent is a steel pole tent with the storm webbings in the front to stabilize the tent in heavy weather. If we are going alongside the tent, we have the wind stabilizer on the poles. But we also have these beautiful, lovely tinted windows all way alongside the tent. And in the bottom we have a big airflow with fresh air going inside to the tent. And also on the side we have shown where the power is getting inside to the tent. Yeah. In our Colorado we have big mesh panels both sides of the tent, and this will provide an airflow inside, but also keeping bugs and other stuff outside the tent, so you just can enjoy a lovely summer evening with no mosquitoes or so on flying inside. As we are going down, we can see here now it's gonna be darker, also in the top of the bedroom, and we can see, if we can turn the camera around, how light and lovely it is in the top to provide a sunny feeling inside the tent.
And also mosquito.
Yeah.
I just love these mosquitoes. Big and wide, and with a huge possibility for airflow without bugs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On the back side, on the back of the tent here, we have, as I mentioned earlier, these lovely big mesh panels that is easy to use in heavy rain. If you do not want to provide a lot of air inside, you can just let them be down. You can also turn them up if it is a hot summer day to provide a lot of air inside. If we have a day with a little bit of cloud and small rain, we can just take this down and then do like this, and then the water will just drip off and there will still come air inside to the tent. On our Outwell, as I showed you early on, we have this guy line toggled in one place to easy pitching. Sorry. Going inside, now I don't have to run, just walk inside.
And just before you head inside, I will just quickly show the wind stabilizer once again, just to make sure that you all understand that this is something which is extra to an Outwell tent. So this is a type of fabric which is sewn into the tent with two types of fabric. It goes around and attaches with Velcro and an extra attaching point, and also with some clips, making sure that it actually holds onto the pole. And of course you also have the wind stabilizer on the lower part, so that when you actually have the skyline and you have some wind pressure onto the side of the tent, it actually has a tear both on the fabric and also on the frame of the tent. On the lower part of the wind stabilizer, you will notice that we also have the skyline retainer. So in this case, it's actually easy to keep it neat and tidy when you pack and fold up your tent, to make sure that the guy lines are not all muddled up and being mixed together. So this is just a little tip to actually make sure when you pack down your tent to make it really nice and easy, because it will actually give you some benefits when you pack out the tent for the next camping expedition. Also, to just to give you that little tips and trick on the wind stabilizer, is when you before you actually click on those clips to the frame, make sure to keep that wind stabilizer to the left, because it will, as you noticed, it opens fully onto the right hand side and the guy line is attached to the left hand side. So keep the guy line to the left. It will make it easier when you actually click lower part on the side of the tent. Yeah, so some more tips and tricks, and Jakob, you will just show the tent inside, because this is really nice. It's a huge tent.
It is a lovely big family tent. In the front we have this nice big wide
extension of a huge canopy
exactly.
in this case.
It's lovely wide.
And still, this extension actually also has curtains, so if you want to close off this this tent fully, you have the zip-up curtains, and can make sure that if you have sun coming from one side, you can actually make a shade completely on one side of the full tent.
Actually, just like we shown down in the
So the zip-up curtains they are really flexible compared to the tuckle-ups, where you have some fixed points you need to tuckle up to. Yeah.
Exactly.
Anything extra?
Yeah,
inside?
Inside this tent we have the hook track system all the way through in the top poles.
Yeah, actually attached with a lamp.
As you can see here. It's a nice feeling to personalize your tent just as you want your tent to be on your vacation. Then we of course have these big windows, and also an extra entrance to the tent. As we talked about outside, the power supply is coming inside on the sides here, and easy to personalize how to put your power.
Yeah.
In this tent we have a 3-zone bedroom. We have, of course, with the magnetic quick and quiet, and also like we shown down in the select range with the zipper to toggle in small kids or the dog or whatever you have the sleeping in early on. Now just to show here, we have the side sleeping area, 2 in this model. You can either be 4 persons inside and have this for luggage or anything like that. You can also open up so mom and dad can have one huge big sleeping area, and then have an extra over here. So there's fully of options in the sleeping dark net area on this one. Of course, we have the mosquito nets in the top also to provide this nice airflow from the side, from the bottom and up to the top and out of the back of the tent.
Yeah, and especially because with a polyester tent, making sure that you have the airflow so that you don't have too much condensation inside the tent, and especially when you do sleep. It's nice to have that airflow and to have some really fresh air in, but it's also a very good idea because you do respirate and with some water outside, so that will provide some condensation. With the airflow, you actually prevent to have a lot of condensation inside your tent. So yes, use those ventilation possibilities that we actually have on the Outwell tent, both the lower vents, the side doors, the rear ventilation, which is the new huge system, but also the ones on the front of your sleeping area. Yeah. May I take the camera down and show the next tent, which is the Rosewell 6A. And we actually had the Rosewell 4SA upstairs, and I mentioned the movable front. And what we will actually do now is show you how to move this front on the tent. So the Rosewell 6SA, SA for the superior air collection here. So again, this is an air tent, and as Jakob has mentioned and shown previously, we have huge windows on this side. We have ventilation possibilities with side doors, with mosquito net. We also have a full mosquito in the front. What we have done now is actually shown that this tent is a tent. It's a 6-person tent, but you can both enlarge or minimize the living area. And so to speak, this is both a 3-zone tent and a 2-zone tent, in which way, depending on which way you actually use this tent. So at the moment, it's built up as a 3-zone tent. So you have the sleeping area, you have the living area, and you have the wet area in the front. And as previously mentioned, the wet area has a detachable ground sheet. So the front of this ground sheet is actually detachable, and the living area sewn into the tent. Special with this tent is it has the straight front and also the movable front. And we will just show you actually how easy it is to move the front from the inner side and out to the outer side and enlarge the living area into the full. Yeah. So Jakob, we will, with the zip, because this actually is a type of family tent, it has 4 zips. So when this is rolled full to both sides, and you can also leave the top vent down so that you can actually have some airflow into the tent. We will just zip the front fully off. And allowing 2 sliders to stay in the inner compartment. And now with the zip stopper out here, we will just take this into. We have the 2 sliders out in the front, and I just take the zip down here. Hope you can actually see this. Quite easy. Just take one of the 2 sliders and give it to Jakob.
Yeah.
And actually quite easy. And if you want to make sure that you can use those 4 sliders, what you do is you actually, on the other side, you again take that zip, and making sure I'm not locked inside, you do the same thing once again. So you take the zip, put into the sliders, and making sure. And perhaps, so this is one of the things you would probably notice sometimes on the campsite. Jacob, if you can just close it straight down.
No problem.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit more tight.
And we will make sure the camera can hopefully go out and come close and see this now. So you will be able to actually close it. So now you have all 4 sliders into the tent. Whoop. Technical issue, microphone. And so with the 4 sliders being in, what you can actually do now is you can open on the front to keep a bit of airflow coming in, because now you have the mosquito net. And of course the reason why you can't really see inside is because on the rear side of the mosquito net is a curtain.
Yeah.
So this actually showed you how easy it is to move the front
From a 2
from
to
2
3.
to 3,
Yeah.
or from
3 to 2.
3 to 2.
Yeah.
So quite easily. And you see a really huge mosquito window in the front.
Yeah.
So Jacob, whew, I'm out of breath.
Yeah, I understand.
But speaking about breath,
Let's
perhaps we should show how easy it is actually to deflate and inflate an air tube.
I think that would be a good idea also for the questions from the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see how easy that is also to do that.
We have here the 2-way pump that is included in all our air tents. And then we just have to go down to the vent, and now we had just opened it. And then we press the button in. And then you can see how fast it will deflate. And then it is, and then if we can get the camera up close, then it's extremely important that we press this button once again to inflate air. So now we are ready to put on the pump and then turn it, and then you can already see how fast the air is going through to the tubes and is beginning to raise.
Perhaps you can just give it a bit of a push.
Yeah, no problem.
Perfect.
And that is how easy it is to work with these lovely air tubes from Outwell.
Whoopala. Perhaps I should give it a bit more. But the air shelter, for which use, Jacob?
It could be for the party, but it could also be for an event, or give some shade in the garden, or what you feel and purpose is. But it give you a nice roomy feeling inside. I have chosen to use this one in my garden to my kids can play, and also for dinner. But it's also easy to put back in my car and drive away and sit at a lake. When the rain is pulling down, I can still have this beautiful view and eat a lovely dinner with my family and friends. So this one has plenty of options to choose from.
Yeah, and I'll just
Yeah,
give it a bit more air so that it will actually be pitched perfectly.
Exactly.
Questions sometimes about air tubes.
Yeah.
You showed the different types of exchanging air tubes, and of course air tubes is it's not new to Outwell.
No.
So it's very easy to both pump and also to actually deflate again.
Yeah.
So a very nice and handy system from Outwell.
Yeah.
Some of the tents from last year, even though that we are all curious to see 2021 collection, we can just take you inside the Airwheel 6SA, which was an award-winning tent from last season. And I do think you should actually have a look at this, because even though that it's from previous season, it's a family tent which was awarded and sold as a bestseller.
It was.
Even though it had 1 year on the move only last year. One of the reasons was, again, the innovations from Outwell, the wing lounge. And as you can just see, the wing lounge is attached to the side here. Again, a tent with a wing lounge is a side put which is firmly attached to the tent. So it's not something you buy or can buy separately after you actually purchased your family tent. It's something you need to decide when you need to decide what type of family tent you're actually looking for. So Jakob, perhaps you can take us inside the tent, and I will just be outside, because there's a special feature in the wing lounge we should take a look at.
Yeah. Come with me, please. Let's just go through our lovely, quick and quiet inner doors with this big mesh panel. As you can see here, we have chosen to use this wing lounge with a nice, lovely table with two nice ergo chairs, and you can see here my colleague on the other side of the mesh panel.
So really nice to have this feature with the mesh panel on the Airwheel. So allowing us actually to have an extra feature and have an extra entrance also. in the family tent. But having this extra huge airflow into the tent, and having the side or the front of the wing lounge roll to the side, making it really looking neat and tidy. So having a huge airflow on the side with the wing lounge, but also on the side of the family tent.
Yeah.
And I do know, and I notice.
Yeah.
The most dangerous. So be aware. Take good care of yourself. The most dangerous furniture of Outwell in here.
The comfort.
The Sardis Lake, and some of you have noticed that Sina is actually in the studio sitting in the Sardis Lake, and it's soon time for us to relax a bit, so I will just sit down in the Sardis Lake. And the reason for me mentioning that this is the most dangerous furniture of us is that whenever you actually sit in one of these chairs or couches, you just need to buy one. And that's the reason for me actually saying to an end consumer on an exhibition, sitting and relaxing, this is really, really dangerous, because you need to buy one.
Yeah.
And most who actually sit in the Sardis Lake, they need to buy it, and they do. So, yeah.
Nice
I don't know
couch.
what the time actually says. If we are due to go back into to see it, but I think we'll go back to the other side of this lake.
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne and Jakob. And I must say, this Sardis Lake is very comfortable to sit in. You can really just sit back and enjoy the show from this one. Now it's time for you to listen up, because now I want to present the competition that we will be doing. because when we test our tents in the test or in the wind machine, we use this small device to check the wind speed that we put to the tents. And after Anne and Jakob has presented our large family tents, the 7 to 8 person tents, we will be going out to the test facilities again. I will be standing in front of the Montana PE, and we will see how much wind we can press to the tent. So for you to enter this competition, you need to guess the wind speed that we will test the tent on today. So write it in the chat when you see the wind test, and you can do it either in miles per hour or kilometers per hour. But now we will look at the large family tents, the 7 and 8 berth tents. So over to Anne and Jakob.
We are at the tent that most people have been asking us about. This is the Knoxville 7R, which is a popular, big, lovely tent to the 2021 season. It is like previous models with big, beautiful panorama windows, light in the top, and then with a rain-safe entrance. And lovely options to prevent an extra flexibility to the tent. Even for the shoes, it could be outside and not getting dirt inside, or whatever your fantasy is about this extra lovely entrance. On the back of the tent, and now we have some technical problems with the camera, so I will just guide you through. We have big air vents in the back of the tent, darkened bedrooms, and of course easy air tubes all the way around the tent. And just an extra details, you can see in the bottom, we have big, large air vent through the tent, all the way down to the extra entrance. Yeah. Yeah,
and we speak a lot about the award-winning tents. And Knoxville 7SA is again one of the award-winning tents from Outwell, being named and rewarded as the largest or the best family extra large tent of 2021. And just to give you a brief overview of what we actually have from awards, just to give you a slight photo of the award-winning wall. So most athletes or music musicians, they have these huge walls of fame, and we do have that as well with Outwell, and especially also, of course, with the two other brands that we have, both EasyCamp and Robins, but especially here showing the huge award-winning wall we have from Outwell, and this is just to indicate the award-winning culture we have, and being actually something the colleagues in the developing department, they try to make and produce and design the best product throughout all the time, is also to make sure that these products are something you love, and that we actually have these tents being recommended and being posted on social media from you. And of course, award-winning products are also important to you, because this actually indicates that this is something a lot of people have given their reflection, that this is really a huge valued product. So again, Knoxville 7SA, winner of the Best Extra Large Family Tent in 2021. Looking at this type of tent, yeah, well, 7-person. Again, a 3-zone tent, so we have the wet area out in the front. We have a large living area, and of course we have the sleeping area in this product. And Jakob, you've just made yourself comfortable in one of the relaxer chairs.
It is just...
And it is really perfect to sit outside and have these really nice atmospheric and have the view, have the panorama.
Enjoy the panorama.
Yeah. One of the questions we've had throughout the chat today is if we can just go through some of the accessories as well. And one of the accessories we've been asked about is the Padres, and Padres is actually not just one product. Padres is a whole range of products, and for one we have the Padres kitchen furniture, and you will on our website actually find a number of Padres products. But just to give you an idea of the accessories we have on the furniture, and especially those kitchen products, Padres here is a one with a nice bamboo tabletop. You have the side table, whereas here you can mount your kitchen or your cooking facilities with a windshield. You have, again, to the side, you have possibility to have the bin selection here, or something else you might actually store onto the side. Underneath, as we've shown here, you can mount your cool box, and then of course on the in the kitchen facility you have this compartment where you have 2 shelves. You can store your pots and pans, tea, or just those kind of things you need very quickly when you are actually outside in the either the wet zone or outside from the tent to cook your dinner for the evening. So Padres, as we have here, is one of the one of the products in the range of the Padres kitchen products. We also have some extra little features on some storage products, also named as Padres, and being used for various numbers of products here as the kitchen facilities. It could also be kids' toys you want to keep neat and tidy in your tent. So various numbers of ideas you can actually use these type of products for. It's just your imagination that actually sets the bounds to this one here. Moving into the tent is quite interesting. We mentioned the carpets early on, and just to give you an idea that the carpet is really, it's cut to size, and it's really nice to have bare feet walk onto, and it's easy also to take out from your tent. So if you are on a pitch where it's very sandy, you have kids running in and out on the from the campsite into the tent, you can just, if you want to, every day just take out and shake that sand off quite easily and fold into, roll out into the living area again. So a nice and easy extra to buy into your Outwell tent. Bringing the camera in, showing you that what we mentioned previously was the hook track and the hook track system. So when you buy into an Outwell tent, you have since 2020 these hook tracks that comes along with your Outwell tent, and the hook track system is something which is sewn into every tube more or less. You will see those plastic guides that actually runs along with the tube, and those hooks that you mount onto the side of these hook track system, you have 10 that actually comes along with the tents. So they are actually quite easy to just take off the hook track system, apply again. And in this case here you have this extra facility with some guy line, and you can just hang a towel to dry. Also we have here shown that if you have a table which is situated in between the air poles, you can also mount a guy line from one side to the other, so that you have the possibility to hang a lamp in between. So you are not as fixed onto the hooks in a normal tent with the hook track system. So it actually allows you to have this flexibility within your tent. And Jakob,
Yeah.
The sleeping area in this Knoxville,
It is just huge.
I would say this is more or less as if you know, you were home and you had this huge sleeping area. You have this side table so that you can put everything aside, and it's really dark.
Yeah. We have, of course, this beautiful dark inner all the way around in the tent. And we have included big mesh panels in the sides, as you can see over there, if we can get the camera to film it in the corner. Because this is the centerpiece, then we have another option there. In the back we see here the mesh panel with the curtains in front, and you can just roll it up in the morning and get a nice sunny feeling inside and some more fresh air. And when it's gonna be night time, then you just close it down. If we go a little bit out, we can see we have the LED strips fastened in top of the tent to give a nice extra light option for this kind of model. And as we talked about earlier on the air tubes, you can see here this is the power frame system, where we have an extra support beam across the tent because of the constructions, and also for more stability of this kind of tent. And also in the sides, now I just move a little bit of this merchandise. We have this nice mesh panels in the corner, on each corner of the tent, so also you have an extra opportunity to lie your cell phone or a paper or whatever you want to put down in those mesh panels. So this gives you a lot more flexibility with such kind of tent we have here. I think we will move on to another.
So I think
lovely tent.
this was just some interesting looks into the Knoxville 7SA award-winning tent for 2021. We will just go into the next tent and just have a short clip for you to look at in between, and we will be short back.
Welcome to the Nightdale 8PA. This is another model from Outwell for our big tents. What is special about the Nightdale is the extra sleeping area we have in the front of the tent, in the wet area. It is an attachable sleeping area where you can put in your friends if they are sleeping in on the campsites, or even though if your mother-in-law is on vacation with you, you can put her inside this the cabin, and you can have your sleeping facilities in the back of the tent and have some lovely, easy night sleep.
Perfect, Jakob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we take it through to the tent, this one is without any furniture, so you really can have this overview of how big the living space really is in such kind of tents. And you also can see the quick and quiet inside. Outside this model, it is more or less the same as the other models with the tinted windows. There's storm webbings, the rain safe. So it is just a nice, easy, big tent to have on the campsites. So yeah, beautiful, lovely tent.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Just next to that, we've actually pitched the Vermont, and this is one of the names you might know from previous, but Vermont for this year is a new model. Going just straight down the side on the Vermont, just to highlight that Vermont with steel frame, having the wind stabilizer on the side. And also the huge webbings, storm webbings on the front. So this is really a tent that is used for more like a permanent, not a permanent such as for a longer time, as a long time, but this could be a tent you would use for a week-long holiday if you know that you are pitched near a really beautiful lake or at a seaside where you know that you will have some really more stronger winds than if you are in the land and with some forest around you. So steel frames and all these kinds of guidelines to assist you making sure that this tunnel tent is actually pitched really perfectly and you can actually have a safe and calm summer holiday. So going along on the side of this tent, you will notice again we have the huge tinted windows with the low vents underneath each window. And also with the cable entry port so that you can have the cable on the campsite, allowing you to have a neat and tidy cable entry into the side of the tent. A side door. This tent actually has a side door on both sides. The left hand side, a side door with a mosquito. The right hand side, a rain safe entrance with a mosquito net as well. And again, this huge overview with the light fabric on the roof material for the living area and the front area, and the darkened area on the sleeping compartment. So this is where you really see a huge tent with this grey and light toned on the living area and the darkened on the sleeping area. We've mentioned previously that we have some news for 2021, and one of the bigger issues we have, because this is really necessary, especially when you are in a polyester tent like this one here, but especially also the more you are actually sleeping inside tents, because you have the respiration from everybody, so you would have more humidity inside a tent. So we have this new rear ventilation system, and even though you know the rear ventilation system from previously, this is actually something which hasn't been improved. So at the moment this is just rolled up so that you will have a maximum airflow into the tent, allowing a huge volume of fresh air actually coming into the sleeping area, but also if you have all the other ventilations open, you will have a natural airflow into the tent. This is just as if you are at home. You are on a sunny day, you have it warm inside, you want some fresh air in, you open the windows to the full. On perhaps a windy day, you would, instead of having this to the full, you will make sure that you put your window in the first hook at home. And the same is possible here. So you use this stabilizer underneath to make sure you still have a really nice airflow in the tent. And because of the pitching area here, and because I wanted to show you, of course we haven't pitched all the guy lines, but to show you that you will actually have a really nice airflow underneath, even though you use the little hook to sort of keep the window half open. Again, when you pitch or when you go back from your holiday, making sure that your tent is actually folded neat and tidy together, and make sure it's everything being ready for your next holiday. You use the zip and close it. And because this tent, this Vermont, is so huge, it's a long way from one side to the other. It's actually 4 meters and 70 wide. So one of the hugest tent we have in this collection. So now closed on the back side, on the rear side, so closed in full. And again, if we want to make this really quick opening to show the inside, we just roll it up so that we have the maximum airflow in the tent. So let's go and see the inside of this tent. Whoopsie daisy. Previously, to begin with, I also mentioned that we would give you some information about the sizes, the weight of both material-wise, and also these huge family tents. So if you have these huge family tents, you actually have between 28 square meters and 38 square meters. And roughly, if you were a student going away and living from home, that would be a normal size, or really a huge apartment to a student. So yeah, being out on the campsite, it's actually a huge family home you actually bring along. Weight-wise, you would go from 32 kilos to 55 kilos. So a huge difference, and this difference is mainly when you go from a lower polyester cotton, polyester material with a fibre frame to a huge and dense product with polycotton, with steel frames, which we don't have, but with air tubes, you go up to the maximum weight of 55 kilos. So you need to really consider what you are choosing when you go out for camping. So something to consider, not just how many people are you on a campsite or going camping, what is actually possible on the campsite to pitch, but also what is possible in your car actually to store. And some tips and tricks actually when you want to go away is if you have a tent which is with poles, you can sort of divide it in more packs. So store away the fabric into one pack, and then you can actually store away pegs and poles and even carpets and another way, so that you don't have this huge bulk of fabric and poles in one. So you can actually divide it into more spaces in the car. Are you with a huge tent with air tubes? This of course is in one. It's just the pump you can actually set to the side, because the air tubes are actually sewn into the fabric as such. So the air tubes are filled with air, but this is something you take out. But it's something you can't really take out the air tubes. So the air tubes are sewn into the tent as such. So that is one big tent as such you need to store into your car going on holiday. Yeah, and just to give you again this huge overview of the Vermont, this is a huge tent. And again, a 3-zone tent having a front which is now here rolled to the side with tinted windows, with curtains, and again with some mosquito nets, so that you have a fully front with a lot of airflow that can actually go into the tent. Going into the living area with the quick and quiet access. So here again you do have this possibility to go into the living area neat and tidy without any sound. So if you are the type of person who comes up early in the morning, you are the one who can actually go out and be the active family and have the rest of the family safe, sound sleep because of the darkness in the sleeping area. So I think the last tent in this collection that we will actually go through to is the last one pitched here. And I know we also have a question in that tent, but Jakob, if you can just start with taking us a bit through to this type of tent, because we've actually seen some huge family tents now, all being either with air tubes or with steel frame.
Yeah.
And the last one we have here is
it's a glass fiber.
It's a glass. It's a fiber poled tent. So here being with the 4,000 millimeters in the hydrostatic head and with fiberglass, it's both a huge tent, but also a lightweight. So, and as I just mentioned, this is with the possibility to have a huge tent you can store in multiple packs in your car. And this actually has I call it the mother-in-law effect as well in the Windward 8s.
It does.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's just go through into the tent and see how it actually, what it looks like.
Yeah. If we're going inside to this Windward 8 person tent, we have here the cabin in the front where you can have your mother-in-law or small kids or a guest who is attending to your summer holiday or just your vacation. This one is possible to remove just by taking it easily off, and it's also easily to pitch again. Inside the tent we still have this roomy feeling with a nice standing height. I'm 190 and I have plenty of headroom in the top of this tent. We see here the lighted interior giving a nice lighting touch into it. On the hook track system here we can adjust where you want to put and personalize our lamps, and if we even want to dry a t-shirt we can also do that. In the back of the tent we have the sleeping area, as we have talked about previously. We also have an option where you can put another compartment inside to put in your clothes instead of use it as a sleeping area, to give that flexible touch on the sleeping area. On the ground sheet we have here the curtains, not the curtains, the blankets on the bottom to give that extra feeling on the tent. Yeah. Now I can see my colleague has just arranged another sleeping department, if you can say so.
We just had a question in the chat, which was why if we could just show if we had like a bed with a self-inflating mat on the top. We've just been around in the showroom and didn't actually find any, so I just took the self-inflating mat from the inner cabin and just placed on a nice sunbed with the new Dream Haven. It's not a dream boat, but it's similar to the dream boat. It's a self-inflating mat, which is really nice to sleep on. Actually, this is what I use at home, not every day, but in the summertime, if it's really nice and warm outside, instead of pitching a tent in the garden, I use a tarp on my terrace and have a sunbed with a dream boat on top. And this is a really nice feature to sleep outside under the sky, actually being able to see stars and perhaps some northern light sometimes, but this is the possibility to actually get a bit more off the ground and have a really nice comfortable sleep also in a family tent. So just some of the features that we have with all the accessories from Outwell. So it's just go ahead and look at the website and you will find whatever you need. It's over to Sina.
I'm standing out here in front of the Montana 6 PE on our rain and wind test center. And now we start the competition. So in a few seconds, Jens will start the wind machine, and then we will just hit it to the max. So you need to guess miles per hour or kilometers per hour, the max speed. So I'll just hand over the microphone. and put on my safety goggles.
Men jeg tænker, at det bliver lidt en forklaring.
A lot of wind here. Type in your max and see if you can win this competition. Over to Jakob and Anne and our bus tents.
So now in the photo studio, we've actually extended the showroom with the photo studio to show you some of the family tents or bus tents that we also produce and do a great deal with on Outwell. And Jakob, this is, for us, this is quite, not new, but cars in Denmark as such, they're quite expensive.
Yeah,
but this is something which is really popular in Europe as such. And just to showcase some of the features that we have on these types of tents.
Yeah.
We have a wide selection, and we will go through 4 different types of bus tents along this way. So if we can just have the camera, and we will show just the first little common feature to these type of products. So you have this kind of van, and on the van you would normally have sort of a rail which you can actually attach the bus tent to. In this case here, you will notice that we do have a type of beading which is a double beading. So you both have a 5mm beading and a 7mm beading. And in this case here, on this car, on this van, we actually use both of the beadings in the same rail. Moving on to the other side of the car, even though this is not usual that we have two tents mounted on one van, we do have here, because this is something special we use both for the developing department but also as here to showcase the products. So here we do have a rail where we use only the 7mm beading into the rail of the van. On the website you will actually be able to see which type of cars we would recommend for the use of both the 7mm and also the double beading. The 5mm is used if you have a roll-out marquee, so like a Tulia or a Fiamma, you would use the 5mm in that type of rail. So the double rail with both the 7 and the 5mm beading is sewn onto the product as such. And that actually allows us to have a multiple use for these type of products, for different types of vans and for the different types of rails that actually are among the whole wide world of these type of buses. Yeah. So that was just a general of, that was the way we would normally attach the product to a van. Later on we will just show you what you can actually buy as extra if you do not have a rail on your van, so that you can actually still be able to attach it and have a really beautiful nomade camping holiday. Moving into the first tent, you will notice that this tent is attached to the side of the van and actually having the front out to the side. So the Newberg 160, allowing with the 160 meters between the poles, actually that this doesn't take up too much space on the camping facility. Also here again with a tiny canopy, allowing you to have some shade in front of this little tent. If we just move into the tent, and Jakob, you can also come along and see
no problem.
and enjoy this this feature of this type of tent.
Yeah.
The front here, you will notice it has a huge front, opening now here only to the half, and actually allowing you to have an entrance into the tent from outside. This front can actually be rolled completely to the side and allowing this panoramic front. Also, on this one here, you do have an extra feature with a completely full mosquito mesh on the front. So you can actually be out in this type of tent and still be not bothered by all those bugs and what actually might be out on also having a summer holiday. Again, moving inside to the tent. This tent has what we call the toggled up curtains. So here you do have the possibility to toggle up the curtains to a specific side where the toggles are actually mounted. On the other side, Jakob, you can just show that the curtains are rolled
down.
Yep.
Like here, and closed nicely in the bottom of the curtain.
So you have a neat and tidy atmosphere in the tent as well.
Yeah.
Also, these type of tents have a sewn-in ground sheet, so it actually has the possibility to hold out all the humidity from the outside into this tent. However though, this is actually where, if we move a bit outside, I will just show you that it also has this availability for the access into the tent. So with this little toggle in the front, you will actually be able to fold down the front so that you don't have a 10 centimeters sidewalk you need to actually step over into the tent, but you will have this easy access, which you also can see is on the rear of the tent. Easily again, if you want to be safe in a rainy day, you just toggle this one up again and make sure that you have a firm edge to your ground sheet. Also, this ground sheet, of course, zips together with the front and has a cover up from the zipper so that you actually prevent any rain from coming into to the living area.
Yep.
One of the features on a bus tent or driveway, or it has a lot of names out in the world, but driveways, bus tents, they are of course tents that attaches to the vans, and we've just shown you the beading that goes into the rail, but actually all of these types of products, they have a sort of a little extra bits of material attached to the rear end of the tent, so that you have the possibility to attach onto the side of the van. And in each side you will notice it has a door opening, so you will actually have the possibility to go straight from outside and into the van, and actually opening the van and getting quickly fetching something inside the van, or going inside playing cards, or the kids can actually just toggle up and read a book or whatever inside the car, still being able to actually be part of the family outside in the tent. So a very clever way to actually attach and have this attaching point onto the van and into the inner compartments of the driveways. Notice that the ground sheet on the attachment is actually a detachable ground sheet. So this is something which is loose, and the reason for that is also because if you want to make this, if you want to drive away, of course this is the one you actually take out and place perhaps inside the tent, so that you are sure to actually have possible way to drive away from the tent. On the rear you also have a huge door which you can actually close, and of course this is needed when you drive away from the tent. So the tent will actually still be pitched on the campsite, but you go away for a nice trip into to see some fantastic exciting things on your camping holiday, but you leave the tent pitch on the campsite. What I would recommend is to be able is to put all your gear that you don't need on that trip, put that into your tent, because it will be firm and stable on your camping site, so no need to actually store in all furniture and things like that, just to keep it inside the tent whilst you drive away from the tent. Yeah? Yep. So Jakob, there's another tent we will have a look into.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Let's have a look.
Yeah. So where would you take us to?
Yeah, on the other side we have another bus tent. It's the Wolfberg 380 Air, and as in the name, this is an air beam in the tent, mounted opposite,
so it has a parallel mounting onto to the van.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. So in this case, it actually allows you to have a longer tent the little Newberg 160, and then you have the attachment point, which is 90 centimeters. It just adds up. So
Exactly.
you have the van, and then you add on to the length of the tent. Whereas here you actually have the width of the tent, which is just with the attachment next to the van. So it doesn't take up as much space on the campsite.
Exactly. And if we go inside the tent here, you can see it is actually built up just like the family tent we just went through early on. We have this lovely living area with the tinted windows, the air flow from the bottom, the lighting in the top, and with the hook track system. So you got all the lovely features from the classic Outwell tent that we will provide. You also have this darknet sleeping area.
Which is something you can buy additional to this type of tent.
Exactly, yeah.
And in this case, a two-person sleeping in a tent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this also keeps the tent perhaps nice, neat and tidy on the campsite, so that you have the sleeping compartment, perhaps if you have some friends visiting, or if you know that the kids, teenagers, they would prefer to sleep in the sleeping area inside the tent instead of perhaps sleeping inside the van. But they would still love to go on the excursion with you and seeing lots of your new campsites and enjoying the summer holiday.
Yeah.
So yeah, with all those perfect possibilities, it's just to head on to the family holiday. Again, front is to be rolled to the side. Here again, you do have the possibility with mosquito net. So you have the mosquito net, and in this case it is toggled up so that you will actually be able to keep a neat and tidy and huge panoramic front to this type of drive-away tent.
Yeah.
And Jakob, this is attached to the side.
To the side of the car.
And this tent actually is more or less, as you just said, it's a family tent.
Yeah.
However, though, it has some toggle-up points so that it's not just a family tent you can use as a drive-away, because the attachment points has some toggles up that fit onto this type of tent. And we'll just show you how it actually is possible to switch that. But going onto the side, we'll just show you where it's actually attached on the right-hand side of the tent.
Yeah. We have on the side of the tent, we have this fitting points over here. You just have to attach to your car and the attachment there, and then you can easily adjust and fit as you want to get easy access and the coziness of this drive-away tent.
And actually, it's just a roof material which is then covered over the top of the
car,
of the tent, and then attached onto the side of the van.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, yes, if you are on a campsite where the van, it would be more suitable for the van to be here, or the front to be on the other side. You need to have take some extra things out from the boot of your van.
Yeah.
You can also just switch it around and take that fitting point, attachment point, switch it around and use on the other side of the tent.
Yeah.
So this is actually a quite flexible drive-away tent that can be used. As mentioned with the sleeping compartment, Jakob, it also has the features on the rear of the family tent.
Yeah.
And perhaps you can just show our viewers how it looks on a drive-away tent.
Just like on our bigger family tent, we have the air vent system inside. We can just toggle this one up. And now you can see you'll get the airflow we talked about early on into the tent. And also, as we talked about earlier, we have this guy line that is toggling, pitching the tent two ways to give them an easy pitching. And also on the side here. And if you can get the idea of it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And mentioning that we have these attachment points on each side. So if you actually see the buckles to attach the roof panel, but also you have the side hooks or the side eyelets so that you can attach the attachment points. So if we just go through the tent and with the camera and just show how it's actually attached onto the other side of, so the eyelets with the little buckle actually just mounting it onto the side of the tent, which makes it really flexible. So a really neat and tidy little driveway tent, and with the flexibility mounting it to the side of the van, it actually allows us to have this huge large family tent with the possibility for the sleeping compartments still being able as a driveway tent. So if you want to go away from this tent onto a day journey, of course this is just toggling off the buckles and the eyelets and leaving that into the inside of the family tent, and it allows you nice and easy to actually take a day's trip out and away from the family tent. So on to the next tent, Jakob.
Yeah. The next tent we have on the program is the Parkville, 260 SA. This is an air beam in 3 sections of the tent, just like the bigger family we have talked about. We have this lovely canopy out and give a lovely shade through the day if the sun is shiny, as we hope it will be.
We all hope to have nice and sunny holidays, you know. But actually, with the kind of people who uses these type of products, they are not as much as with family camping. These type of people, you actually use these types of products and your vans throughout the whole year, more or less. So, which is why that the Parkville, which we have here, is both an air tube tent, but it's also a very durable polyester in this tent, because it is often seen that those with a van and the van life is actually something where you go out, even if it's just early spring, Easter break, and also in the autumn. So this is where we do see people going away perhaps on a longer holiday, and they drive and stay perhaps a few more days on the camping site.
Exactly.
Except where those with a smaller tent and the van, they would perhaps move more from space to space.
Yeah.
So a durable product here, which is also why the features in this tent is a bit more upgraded in this one here. So of course the air tubes, but here we also have
the support beam from the power air system to provide this extra stability for a windy day on our adventure.
And with the 6,000 millimeters hydrostatic head on the polyester, also a reason to use the power air on this type of product.
It only makes sense,
Exactly.
Going inside to the tent, as we have shown you, we have this hook track system that is easy to move around to give your personal touch to your tent and your stay. This we have in all 3 tubes through the tent. We have the big, lovely windows. And a nice feature on this one is on the curtains. We have the zip, so you can just make it as easy and comfortable as you want to. So if it is late at night and you just want to be yourself, you can just close down the whole tent and you will have your own privacy. And when it's morning and you're sitting in the chair and taking a cup of tea and looking outside on this panorama view, you really can get the feeling of how lovely and flexible a tent like this is.
Yeah. And if you notice the big wall behind Jakob, it's not because we don't want to show you how it's actually mounted on a vehicle, but in the lack of actually vehicles, but also to show you how the rear door is actually how it looks. So this tent is actually freestanding, and this is the door that you close before you take out or before you drive away from your pitching area. And Jakob, we have this big wall behind us, and it's just even though it's in a foreign language for most people, but it actually shows a lot of those products we have for the driveaways, and a lot of a lot of known products, a lot of new products, but also to give the idea that if you go on our website, you will actually see a lot of these products, and you will see a lot of photos where it's actually shown on different types of vehicles, and also a lot of opening and closures features. So please use the website to actually go and find the suitable driveway tent for your van and for your van life.
Yeah.
And one of the news for 2021 is the new collection of the active range.
Yeah.
And especially for me, I think this is quite interesting, because this is where we would go down to some smaller vans, so SUVs and some bigger cars. And I do think the Woodcrest is a really nice example for the active range.
Yeah.
And this is where we actually mount this on the boot of the car, so it's a rear tent attachment.
Perhaps
and
we can have the camera.
Yeah, but also this is a tent which is made of lighter material. So both the fabric, but also the poles. So these poles are actually aluminium. So both making these really firm, but also very lightweight frames for this active range. And when we do say active range, it's not because it only meant for the active campers, but this could be for those going out for a day trip or for a weekend trip to sports facilities, having a mountain bike mounted on the roof of the car, the windsurfer that has all the equipment in the boot of the car and wants a facility to change in the day. Yeah. So this type of driveway tent is something which we actually do see is going to be even more popular throughout the coming years. So having a look into the tent. You do see that here we do have the possibility for the boot to be opened, so it has a lot of roomy space inside. It also has some side doors, not really doors, but it has the possibility to actually roll these panels to the side, and making sure you can easily go from, just mount this, you can easily go from here and into the car. So if you need to go to the side of the car, fetching something on the side of the door, going back into the tent again. And also, just to notice that we didn't actually mention anything of the windows here, but it does have windows. So next to Jakob, you will see that you can actually see outside. However, though, instead of having a window foil, what we actually have here is a mosquito. So mosquito nets with the possibility for a water-safe window cover.
Yeah.
So on a rainy day, you just shut the window cover and still be able to actually have a dry tent in here. On the other hand, you can also roll down the window covers so that you will have the possibility for a nice airflow inside the tent. Also, it has the hook track system so that you do have the possibility to hang a towel, dry a towel, or perhaps a t-shirt, whatever, so that you can actually make sure that you have a neat and tidy indoor climate into this tent. A little feature on the floor. We did mention the sewn-in ground sheet. On this active range in the Woodcrest, we actually have a detachable ground sheet. So if we make a huge jump, Jakob, this is actually a ground sheet. You will see it actually can fit way underneath the car. In this case, we've just folded it up. However, though, Jakob, if you can just show on that side that it's actually attached with Velcro.
Yeah, we have Velcro, like here, and then you can just put it up easily to the side, and then you have this, like the sewn-in models with a higher ground.
So you do have a rain-safe compartment inside, so if it's wet outside you do have the possibility. Otherwise it's just a really neat and tidy quick little drive away tent. Then you can also pitch quite easy. And yes, I did say drive away, so it is something which is actually freestanding or can be freestanding, so you can just leave it. It has a door to the other side you can just close, and also the door to the front is something you can shut down and have it actually being freestanding, and you can drive away to your journey and leave the tent on the pitching area. Also, just to mention that in the front we do have also mosquito nets, and of course again the rain safe window covers. And this can actually, with the purchase of 2 extra poles, be used as some extra sunshade canopy you can actually mount out in front of the little active tent here. So this is just something new on the drive away tent area, and just to show you that actually quick and easy, you can do something to drive away from your tent, and we will just quickly show you how that is actually possible, because it doesn't take really that long to dismount this tent. So to begin with, we make sure that the tent is a bit more loose, so not as firm as it would normally be. So we actually loosen the guy line a bit on both sides. And of course the guy line here would also be tightened in the normal conditions, but we've just made a little preparation for you to actually have this one here. Also the side attachment to the car, you need to loosen the peg and actually do that in both sides. And now the tent is actually more or less loose. So just some tips and tricks for you to actually have on the campsite, because driving away from it is very easy. It's actually hitting the right spot again when you return to the campsite. So using one of the luminous pegs, using that, pointed it to the center of the wheel and just to the side. And since that is in plastic, no fear to actually run over it with your tyres. And of course also that is on the rear end of the car. Yeah. In this case, we've actually mounted it onto the same side as the tent. In real life, we would actually mount that on the driver's side of the car, because it would be easy just to drive to and actually look through your mirrors to see where you have the pegging points. So using that as your indicator, where are you in that on the campsite when you return? So nice and easy here. And Jakob, perhaps you could go through to the rear end.
Yeah.
Actually, now it's quite easy. So what we do is we actually take out this plastic rail. And this is a plastic rail that is in 8 shapes. So you see that it has these rails that actually goes in here. So Jakob, have you taken out?
No, I have to get this.
The first one?
The middle.
Yeah,
the middle.
And just a little tip here. Use this plastic piece to actually push. So Jakob?
Exactly.
I'm pushing.
Yeah, no problem. I'm taking.
So just pushing the next one here out so that Jakob can actually get a hold of it.
Almost.
Yeah. Oh.
That was the wrong one.
Yeah, if you just take the plastic.
Yeah, I know.
Good.
Oops.
There you go.
There it is.
So, in this case, we have 3 of these pieces of 8s. And 3 pieces of 8. And also we have this little beading, which is actually inside the rail. So Jakob, if you hold the plastic.
Yeah.
And as mentioned, this is the one which is sewn onto the tent. And this one, this is the 7mm beading, goes into the rail.
Yeah.
So on the both sides, it's actually the way that you have the attachment on the van and for the drive away facility. So if you want to drive away from your van on your van life, do purchase this extra bits and pieces with your dealer or retailer to do this van life very easy and neat and tidy, to go out, do camping, but at the same time be out, have a nice and fantastic holiday. So with this, I give you through to Signe.
Thank you very much for that, Anne and Jakob. Please come and join me here in the studio, because now it's time to reveal the winner of the competition. And at the wind test that we just did on Montana 6PE, we actually hit a smashing 190 kilometers per hour, which is 118 miles per hour. So congratulations to Damien Turner, who actually guessed 119 miles per hour, so you were closest. Damien, you've won the Fontana Lake, this nice sunbed. And obviously we would like to send it to you. So if you could send your address to info@outwell.com. Thank you. Hello guys.
Hello, Signe.
Hello, Signe.
So
Well done.
Was there a winner?
Yes, the winner was Damien Turner. We actually hit the
Congratulations.
190 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And
so
you were
well
out
done.
there?
I was out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Windy.
It was a bit windy. Yeah.
I'm impressed that you actually are still here.
Yeah, it didn't fly away.
You didn't fly away. But congratulations. It's fantastic, and thank you for actually watching and competing in the competition.
Yeah.
And good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice job today, guys.
It was a nice job today, and I do think, and I do really hope that the end consumers, all of you out there watching, have enjoyed the show. A lot of guys here have done a fantastic job, not just today, with a lot of people in the background, cameramen, all those answering social media questions.
Actually in Spanish today. So
Actually in Spanish today.
So we,
Hola, Miguel.
Yeah, hola, hola.
I actually think that's from the retailer in Spain, from Alaves y Alaves, and they have two nicer brothers down there in Spain. So, hola.
But thank you also for contacting us and chatting with us today. We hope that. I think that actually we did manage to answer all questions. So thank you very much for that.
It's fantastic. I do hope you've had loads. We've had some coming through
we did
as well, and I hope we've also been able to answer those questions to you, so that you can feel safe and go out to visit your retailer, wherever that actually might be. Whether it's I know we have visitors from Poland, from Greece, Bulgaria. I don't know whether you've actually had some reflections on where people actually where they.
We did get a small greeting from Brazil.
From Brazil.
Yesterday from the United States as well. So we do spend out.
And that is actually correct, because we do export to 40-something countries in the world. So yeah, it might be broadcasted in English, and you might think it's down to perhaps a few countries, but as you say, Signe, it's going abroad, and it's not just Eurovision, but it's actually worldwide. So it's fantastic, and I know that we've actually had great time both yesterday and today.
Definitely,
it's been
it was a lot of fun.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
And a fun way to do it now that Corona is setting a limit to how we can present our tents. I think that this worked very well.
And just to actually, we know we've been listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we can actually recommend all of you to listen in to the Outwell podcast with Paul and Simon. Yeah. And it's also one of the things that we've been working on and trying to build into this new way of life. And I do know that we have some retailers that actually use the podcast to broadcast in their shop or showroom, and that is actually quite a funny facility, because it's just radio, but it's people who talk enthusiastic about the product from Outwell and which they use. But do have a listen to this, and perhaps you would also learn something about Denmark, because they do describe the head office in Give quite well.
And the little people.
But even though that you've seen the showroom today, so it's actually quite fun to have other people, even though that they are our colleagues and they know us, to describe the way of living in Denmark, and both little people and happy people. we are happy people in Denmark.
Yes. Good. I think that's all for today. Thank you, Anna and Jakob.
You're welcome.
Thank you to you guys behind the camera as well.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Signe.
Thank you. And all that's left now is to wish you all a happy camping season. And
thank you to you for watching.
To seeing you in real life again sometime.
Yeah.
Thank you and goodbye from us.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.